Hey everyone, this is an Amalgia video, and the new Pokemon Snap game was released today. I've been playing it since midnight, so let's go over what the game is like and some of the basics. First off, with Pokemon Snap, you really need to temper your expectations. And if you played the original way back in the day, then you already should have a good idea of what you're in for as far as gameplay is concerned. The way the game works is that there are a number of different levels, but all of them operate in substantially the same way. You hop in a pod-like car and then you follow a set track through the level while you take pictures of Pokemon and try to catch them in rare poses. The game seems simple at first, but it's actually a lot more complicated than it lets on. I'll touch on the game's hidden complexities later, but if there's one thing that Pokemon Snap is and was back in the day, it's very repetitive. You'll have to run the same levels and different versions of the same levels over and over again in order to accumulate enough points or achieve the objectives you need in order to advance the game's story. First, let's take a very quick look at the game's starting options. You start out by selecting the language you want to read in and the language of the dialogue. Keep in mind though that this game is not fully voice acted. There are only 8 character models to choose from, 4 boys and 4 girls. There aren't really any customizable options I've seen with them either, so the character creation is a little weak in this game. After you've selected your character, enter your name. Remember that the Switch supports USB keyboards, so you can plug one in to be able to type on the game faster. One of the fun parts about Pokemon Snap is that if you were a fan of the Pokemon series, you always wondered what it would be like to be able to see the Pokemon interacting in their environments. And this game gives you a glimpse into how they live in their habitats. While you were able to see some Pokemon wandering around in the wild in Sword and Shield, it's just not the same feel, experience, or depth that Pokemon Snap has when you're watching the Pokemon in their environments. The first 2 characters you meet are the new professor, his name's Professor Mir, and his assistant Rita. The new Pokemon Snap does have a whole host of characters to it, and it does try to have a story, which I was a little surprised about. So I'm not sure if it's any good yet because I'm not all the way through the game, but at least they tried. But I'll know soon enough if it's a normal Pokemon storyline or actually a good Pokemon storyline. One of the first things the story exposes you to when you start the game is a legendary photographer that was documenting rare phenomena in the Lental region. Specifically, there are certain events that cause Pokemon to glow brightly and have different patterns on their body, and these researchers want to get to the bottom of what causes it. Helping them solve this mystery is one of the main objectives of the game, but you also have a photo dex that you can use to store photos of all the Pokemon you see and take pictures of. There's also an online server where you can post pictures to your personal page so that other players around the world can see the photographs you've taken of Pokemon and you can look at theirs as well. As I've mentioned before, the game is very limited in terms of movement and exploration. You move between certain areas like indoors, outdoors, or even going on the safari by clicking on options instead of having your character walk around freely and get there. It's a little disappointing, but I also sort of expected it. I really do wonder what kind of potential this game would have had if they had opened up the world to freedom of exploration in conjunction with all the in-depth photography. You get your camera right away, and then the tutorials start. Your options in the beginning of the game are pretty limited, but as the story progresses, you unlock more ways to interact with Pokemon in their environments. Since this game is all about picture taking, the controls are vital. The left stick will move the pointer around, and that's pretty much what you aim with, and the camera will follow it. At first, I was a little dismayed at how slowly the camera turned, but there are options you can change in the controls to make the pointer and camera turn faster. Another thing I learned is that if you push the left and right stick in the same direction at the same time, your camera will turn faster than normal. So keep that in mind. The A button is your default picture taking button, but you can map any of the buttons any way you want, really. Before I get into the different abilities you acquire, I'm going to talk about something the game explains very poorly, and that is how photos are scored. First, every Pokemon in the game has 4 different tiers of rarity for their poses. These tiers range from 1 star to 4 stars. Now, one would think that the rarer the pose and the higher the star rating, the better. And that's true to an extent. But the game actually wants you to get each of the 4 tiers for every single Pokemon in the game stored in your photo book. Accomplishing this requires a lot of trial and error. While you certainly can just take pictures of Pokemon you see in the way you find them, the key to the game is mastering your abilities and knowing how to cause chain events in order to get Pokemon to do rare poses. For example, you could throw an apple at a Pokemon sleeping in a tree, wake it up, have it fall to the ground, and then have it interact with another Pokemon nearby. And then those 2 Pokemon may exhibit rare behavior that they wouldn't have otherwise. Now that we know we need to collect one of each of the star ratings per Pokemon, let's talk about how the photo point system is calculated. Something to keep in mind is that even though the pose does affect your score, the star rating between 1 and 4 stars has no impact on your points. This means you could have a photo of a Pokemon in a 4-star rare pose that only has 1,000 total points, and you could also have a photo of the same Pokemon in a 1-star rare pose that's over 4,000 points. The key to getting a lot of points is to have the Pokemon lined up in the center of the shot, facing the camera, and zoomed in without clipping any of the Pokemon out of the frame. You can also get additional points for other Pokemon winding up in the same shot as the one you're targeting, but you'll get the most points by making sure that the subject of your photo is lined up correctly, instead of trying to get a shot that has just a ton of Pokemon in it. Now that we've talked about how to get the most points out of a photo, let's talk about the different rankings your photo can get based on those points. Any photo that has a total score below 3,000 points earns a bronze. If your photo's total score is between 3,000 and 3,500 points, then it earns a silver. If your photo's score is between 3,500 and 4,000, it earns a gold. And lastly, if your photo score is either 4,000 or above, it earns a diamond ranking. The ultimate goal is to have a 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, and 4-star photo for each Pokemon and have each of those photographs be over 4,000 points. I have taken a photo that's over 5,000 points before, but it doesn't seem to go any higher than Diamond, but it does unlock an achievement in the game, but I'll get to the achievements later. After each safari, turning in photos to be evaluated by the professor can be a bit of a cumbersome process. Regardless of how many photos you take, you can only turn in 1 per Pokemon per safari. So if you have 2 good photographs of the same Pokemon on the same safari that you ran, only one of them can be evaluated. You would have to run the exact same level again and capture that Pokemon a different time in order to get it re-evaluated. You can still save extra photographs to your personal album, but they won't be the ones that are put in your photo decks with the star rankings. Basically, you can have evaluated one of each different type of Pokemon that you capture a picture of while on a safari. And if the little folder has a red icon, it means that the folder contains a photo of a star ranking that you don't have in your photo decks yet, so pay attention to those. I like to pick all my pictures myself, but there is a convenient auto button. If you press minus on your controller while you're on the screen, the game will auto-select the pictures that it thinks you should have evaluated. Also, when you're in a specific Pokemon's folder after a safari and you're choosing what pictures you want, it will let you compare the current photo you're looking at to the highest ranking one stored in your photo decks. And if you have a lot of different pictures of the same Pokemon and you captured a few different rarities for poses and star rankings, you can use L and R to just sort between which pose rarity you want to look at and choose, which is very helpful. Okay, that's pretty much everything you need to know about the four different types of pose rarity, how rankings are calculated, and how to turn photos into the professor. So let's take a look at what the safaris in this game are actually like. Your pod-like car is called the Neo 1, and it travels a set track through the level at a set pace. When I bought this game and booted it up, I really expected it to be a more peaceful experience than it was. But in some levels, trying to capture all the Pokemon in the amount of time allotted while passing by is very difficult, and it's a lot more hectic of gameplay than I expected. When you start out, you only have your camera at your disposal, but eventually you'll unlock more abilities that will allow you to get Pokemon into rarer poses. The first ability you unlock is an important one, but it's also an annoying one. It gives you the ability to scan your surroundings for Pokemon, but also the electricity given off by the scan will interact with some Pokemon and make them look at you or cause certain effects. The scan is very important because some levels have alternate hidden paths that you need to scan in order to change course. Also, there are sometimes objectives that you need to scan in order to advance the story, and sometimes the progression doesn't have anything to do with the Pokemon themselves. If you scan with X and then you see a blue circle appear on the bottom of your screen, if you hold down the scan and then go towards the bottom of your screen, it'll turn yellow and then it will direct you to something that is scannable in your surroundings. Scanning certain objects sometimes helps with progression, but it also can open up this game's version of side quests, where the professor or one of the characters you interact with will request a specific photo be taken, and the photos are usually tied into some of the items you scanned in the environment. A quick side note on story progression, because the game doesn't explain it very well. You can level up in the game, but it's by area. So every different area in the game has its own level. And once you reach like level 2, level 3 in a specific level, sometimes the story will advance and unlock a new area. Like reaching level 2 in the first area might unlock the nighttime version of that level, and so on. I'm not going to spoil any of the specific plot events for you, but after you reach a certain point, the second ability you unlock is the ability to throw apples. So if you played the old Pokemon Snap game, you're very familiar with this mechanic as it was completely pivotal to how that game functioned. Throwing apples is definitely the most versatile ability I've seen in the game so far. Not only can it lure Pokemon to specific standing spots, but it can get them to enter rare poses from their happiness after eating the apple or interacting with it. But you can also use the apple as a projectile to hit Pokemon to either make them angry or make them react in ways that they wouldn't have done otherwise. Oh, and another quick side note before I forget. If you're on the main screen outside of the lab and you push Y, you can open up the Lentalk system. The Lentalk system is unlocked after you're a few levels deep in the game, so you won't have it out of the gate. But if you go up to all requests and click on it, that's basically where all the side quests are listed that require you to take specific pictures in order to get achievements and other rewards. The objectives also serve as hints into how to get certain Pokemon into rarer poses. The third ability you unlock is one that's new to the new Pokemon Snap. You can throw energy orbs at Pokemon, which causes them to glow, and sometimes makes them react in strange ways. Oh, and another side note before I forget is each safari usually have around 72 pictures or so. So, unless you're constantly taking pictures, you really shouldn't have to worry about conserving your photos. But I have been close to running out before, but it's just something to keep in mind. Usually, it's enough of stock to get you through an entire level and some. Also, some of the characters will talk when you take a picture that's either like centered correctly or they think it's a good one, but I found that their comments don't always necessarily mean the picture is going to be your best picture. The fourth ability, and the last one I'm going to talk about in this video because I haven't unlocked the fifth one, the game hasn't been out very long, is the ability to play music. Music is far less useful than apples, but it still has some benefits. It can be used to lure out certain Pokemon, it can cause them to dance, and it can also wake certain sleeping Pokemon. But then again, I found that some Pokemon just don't respond to music at all, and sometimes you have to wake a sleeping Pokemon with an apple hit instead of a song. It really makes the uses of all your different abilities varied per Pokemon, and it makes it all really confusing, and it's a lot of trial and error in order to figure out what works best on which Pokemon. Anyway, that's all I'm going to include for now. I'll probably put up more videos about Pokemon Snap later, and I'll do one about how the online system works and some other things at a later date. I really hope this video has helped you gain an understanding of what the new Pokemon Snap is like and how it works. If you found any of the Amalgia videos helpful, please subscribe, it really helps us out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.